Andy, how are you?
Doing quite well today. Thank you for asking.
Andy, tell the viewers and the listeners, tell them a little bit about yourself. Give us a background.
Well, Andy King is a lifetime resident here in the 12th District of the Bronx. I grew up here, attended the local middle schools, the local public schools, the high schools, and this is home. As a graduate of Evander, my commitment has always been here. After graduating with my degree in communications from William Patterson University, I came back home to give service. My dad was a community dad, and apple didn't fall far from the tree. So I'm grateful that the Lord has put the spirit of service on me, and that's what I continue to do in this neighborhood. From the youth empowerment program that I created for teens from ages 13 to 21, allow them to be productive adults. Because I say everyone's not going to have a doctorate. Not everyone's going to have their master's or their BA, but it doesn't mean that you can't be a productive person. So my passion of young people and helping them to get education and better educational opportunities for a better future. Another thing that has inspired me, keeps moving me forward, I've been an organizer for the Healthcare Union of 1199. And what that allows me to fight the progressive charge and make sure that everyone has access to health care. And when we educate ourselves around healthcare, it's not just about having insurance, but making sure the job opportunities that come within healthcare and the wellnesses that we need to understand about the food intake and the food services that are in our district, and making sure that quality foods are delivered here at home. I have a diet that I try to stay strict within, how I eat foods, and I ask our neighbors to educate themselves not just on diets, but a lifestyle change in how they feed themselves. Another thing that's very important and valuable close to my heart are the seniors in our neighborhoods, making sure that they have quality housing, health care, and access to transportation and food services. One of the things I hate to see for our seniors is that they have to go lobby Albany or Washington for the services they elected somebody to bring home. So I think that's one thing that we need to just get off the table when it comes to our senior services, and whoever's in the office and whatever elected position that we need to do the best thing we need to do for our seniors. Because one day, we forget that we'll be 60 and 70 and 80, and we don't want to be out there trucking in the snow or getting out there in the cold to lobby anybody. Another issue that we have in the 12th district is housing. Making sure that housing concerns are addressed, that we make sure that we have real affordable housing that will manage the people in here, but making sure that the people are able to live in their homes are in good economic standards, because when your community is in good economic standards, your community can survive and thrive. One of the things that I've been talking about when it comes to economics is being able to train folks. But when you train people, they got to be real training programs that leads to jobs. And if we can lead to jobs, and one of the things I like to see is bringing big business in when they train our people in the neighborhoods, that the people in the neighborhood work those jobs. This way the money turns over. There's economic principles, the seven-ish turnaround, that when that happens, that money turns over 7 times in the community. Everyone gets to touch it, and everyone prospers from that. If we're able to do that, a lot of social ills will go away. We're not worrying about a 14-year-old or 15-year-old or just a 25-year-old deciding they need to have a gun in their pocket or their hand to make a difference in the world. So those are some of the things that Andy King stands for. Andy King is here. Andy King will always be here. And I tell everybody there will be a November 7th, and we need to make sure that the work that we've done before November 7th stays in place after November 7th.
Andy, you run in the past, and obviously you didn't come out victorious then. What are you doing differently this time around to make sure that Andy King is the next council member for the area?
Without sounding arrogant, but just remaining humble, just working. Bottom line is, we worked before I even thought about running. When my neighbors asked me, you're doing a lot of good work with the young people. You're advocating a lot for the injustices that are happening in our community. We need somebody like that to be an elected leader, because I consider myself a community servant. And I keep that in the forefront of all my conversations inside of my heart, because as long as I can continue to serve, then I always will be able to put the community first. And that's what this is all about for me. I grew up here, and I've seen the community change. It's very diverse, and it's a blessing to have such a mosaic up here in the 12th district, but sometimes it becomes our greatest challenges. So I want to be able to bring the unity back into our community, but how do we do that? We must put the community and people first. And to keep having those conversations, keep doing the work, keep engaging folks, keep informing them. That's the way that I will continue to work. You ask me what has been done differently. Andy King will be one thing you can count on with Andy King. I will be consistent, and that's how I always move through life. When you consistently be able to do things, people can rely on you to do what you can do.
And you talk about some prominent endorsements. That who's supporting you? Give us some names and some of the organizational support you currently have.
Well, we are very glad that my union 1199 has endorsed me, along with the Bronx County Committee has endorsed me, along with 32BJ, Speaker Quinn, the Public Advocate. Those are just a few. You know, we have a few unions from the DC unions, like the 1707s and 371 we're excited about, and UFCW. So, you know, we do have our good support with a host of clergy from the community that is supporting a number of community-based organizations. So we're real proud of the endorsements that we have and those who are committed to get on board, such as a UFT, you know, so we're really excited about the partnerships that we've built because of the work record and my commitment to serve in this neighborhood and all of New York City.
And you draw a contrast right now between yourself and your opponents. You know, the voters, there's going to come a time in forums and debates, if they haven't already happened, or even in your local bus stop or train station, where people are going to say, why should we vote for Andy and not fill in the blank? You know, some of your opponents. Draw a contrast. What does the community need to know about your opponents? And again, differentiate yourself.
I keep it simple for the people. I don't want to overtalk. I don't want to overstate, let alone understate. But when I'm asking people to vote for me because you're going to look at Andy King and say, hey, this gentleman has been around all his life. He's always worked this community. He's always given his life to this community. And one thing I tell everyone today, in order to improve, especially in helping the next generation, you know, we always think we need to get paid to do something. We always think that we don't have the funding for a program, it can't get done. Well, you know what? The youth program that I created, it's no funding that we received, because I understand a commitment to service, because of lack of funding, doesn't mean a commitment to serve. And that's how I want us to operate as a community. When we talk to our NYCHA developments, you know, we talk about lack of funding. But that doesn't mean that people can't come out and help the kids. That doesn't mean you can't come out and serve with the seniors. That doesn't mean you can't come out and sweep something when something is dirty or pick up something. We need to get to the point that we take care of our own. And if we can take care of our own, we'll be a whole lot better by putting community and people first. So when you ask me about a contrast, it's just about servicing the people. And I have a record of that's who Andy King is. That's part of my makeup.
And he has Assemblyman Hasty, the chairman of the Bronx Party, committed to maybe working the district with you and knocking on doors and handing out lit to the community?
Yes, he has, and I'm grateful for the Democratic County, Bronx Democratic County, who has endorsed, you know, and the chairman himself making a financial donation to the campaign as of today. So I'm happy about the support, and I'm glad that the work that I've done I've earned the respect of my neighbors, my friends, and other leaders throughout the borough of the Bronx.
How have you reached out to different communities? For example, Latino communities. I know there's a large African community, if I'm not mistaken, in the district.
Yes.
Talk about the outreach you've done to other groups in the area.
Well, the outreach is my whole thing is about bringing unity back to this community. And how do you do that? You got to engage everyone in the process. So we have a Latino base that, and for me, I don't like for us to separate ourselves because of the flags that or the islands that we've come from. Because regardless if you were from Jamaica, Trinidad, Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, Ecuador, Nigeria, at the end of the day, if there's a problem with Con Ed on the block, all of us have Con Ed issues. If there's a sanitation issue, we all have sanitation issues. So what I try to help our neighbors and friends understand, that we need to stay united on all fronts, because we're all asking for the same thing. We're asking for better education system for our kids. We're asking for quality youth programs. We're asking for housing. We're asking for better health care. We're asking for employment opportunities. All this is a general basic need that we all need to have, regardless where your birthplace may have started. When we're all sitting here in the 12th district, those are the same goals and aspirations we have for ourselves and our children. So that's the way I try to tackle the conversation. But we do have a strong support of the Nigerians and our African communities that have signed on, and actually they're going to be doing their own endorsement. They have endorsed, and which carries about, I think it's about 800 members in the NCO. That's the name of the organization, and don't ask me to pronounce it, but but they are on board with the campaign. And we do have a host of Latino organizations from Co-op City that have joined on to be a part of this campaign. So that's the whole piece of uniting us and not having any conversation that's divisive, because we are in a community that we can't afford that type of dialogue, because it would just fracture us even more.
Thank you very much, Andy. Continued success to you. Best of luck.
Thank you.